Which countries are set to gain or lose under a Biden presidency? After a deeply contested election, US President-elect Joe Biden is set to take the most powerful job in the world. But how does he view that world?
Tonight, the whole world is watching America. And I believe at our best, America's a beacon for the globe.
He says he wants to repair America's relations with its allies and get tough on dictators. Basically, the exact opposite of the past 4 years.
America first will be the major and overriding theme of my administration.
And that opposite approach by Biden could be most profound in the Middle East. Take Saudi Arabia. Under President Trump, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman enjoyed free reign to do what he wanted, from the disastrous war in Yemen to blockading Qatar. And we can't forget the brutal murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Despite overwhelming evidence and bipartisan support to punish MBS, Trump consistently came to the Crown Prince's rescue. For Trump, it was a transactional relationship.
$3 billion, $533 million, $525 million. That's peanuts for you. Should have increased it.
But Biden says he's concerned with Saudi Arabia's human rights record and specifically the murder of Khashoggi.
Khashoggi was in fact murdered and dismembered, and I believe in the order of the Crown Prince. And I would make it very clear, we were not going to in fact sell more weapons to them. We were going to in fact make them pay the price and make them in fact the pariah that they are.
Although the US alliance with Saudi Arabia will continue, I doubt MBS is looking forward to a Biden presidency. But right next door, Iran could be feeling more optimistic after 4 years of Trump. Biden says he will rejoin the 2015 nuclear deal. Trump scrapped it 2 years ago, and it's been a tense time ever since.
In a major escalation in tensions between the U.S. and Iran, the top Iranian general has been killed in an airstrike while leaving the Baghdad airport.
Biden has called Trump's Iran policy a self-inflicted disaster and said there were smarter ways of dealing with the country.
The next president has to be able to pull those folks back together, reestablish our alliances, and insist that Iran go back into the agreement.
So for Tehran, there's reason to sigh a bit of relief. But whatever Biden does vis-a-vis Iran will be closely watched by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Trump has been called by many the most pro-Israeli US president for the diplomatic gifts he showered on Bibi. He moved the US embassy to Jerusalem and recognized it as the capital of Israel. He convinced 3 Arab countries to make peace with Israel, something that hasn't been done in a quarter century. Biden, of course, welcomed the new relations. But when it comes to Trump's support for legalizing Israeli settlements and land grabs in the Golan Heights, Biden has made clear he isn't on the same page.
The steady and systematic expansion of settlements, the legalization of outposts, land seizures, they're moving us, and more importantly, they're moving Israel in the wrong direction.
Although President-elect Biden has a long history of being friendly to Israel, he supports the two-state solution and could resort to Obama-era policies, which Netanyahu opposes. Over in Asia, we could also see drastic changes in US actions. Over the past 4 years, no relationship has been rockier than between the 2 largest economies in the world. What started off cordial soon took a turn for the worse.
Game on here. A trade war between the United States and China is here. It's real.
Now to President Trump's threat to ban TikTok, the widely popular but Chinese-owned video sharing app.
During the campaign, Trump repeatedly attacked Biden for being soft on China.
Joe Biden's agenda is made in China.
But that was the old Biden. He has since taken a much tougher tone against Beijing. for its crackdown on Uyghurs and protesters in Hong Kong, and its trade policies.
No, and I spent more time with Xi Jinping than any world leader had by the time we left office. This is a guy who doesn't have a democratic with a small d bone in his body. This is a guy who is a thug.
Experts predict that while the US-China relationship will be less volatile under Biden, Washington's harsh stance against Beijing isn't going anywhere. We'll mark this one as a draw. One US relationship that won't be ambiguous under Biden is with North Korea. By Trump's own accounts, he fell in love with the country's leader, Kim Jong-un.
And we would go back and forth, and then we fell in love. Okay?
They met 3 times, an honor no sitting US president has ever given to a North Korean leader. Although no final nuclear deal was reached, the 2 leaders spoke warmly about each other till the end. Well, this is what Biden thinks of Kim Jong-un and Trump's North Korea policy. I think we can mark it as a loss.
He's legitimized North Korea. He's talked about his good buddy who's a thug, and he talks about how we're better off, and they have much more capable missiles.
And of course, we can't forget the leader who arguably benefited the most from Trump's presidency.
He's Putin's puppy. He still refuses to even say anything to Putin about the bounty on the heads of American soldiers.
So Biden's approach to foreign policy is shaping up to be drastically different than Trump's. It should be an interesting 4 years ahead.